Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show, the show that is not for entertainment purposes. Today is going to be a good example of that because we are going to dive into something that, it's been blaringly obvious for too long, and even I could not completely see it, but I see it now. And that is the weaponizing of the truth. I've been glimmering it for a while, but it's come pretty clear now about the weaponizing of the truth. So that is the main subject that we're going to be getting into today. However, we're going to cover uh, a few things that are not directly related during the beginning of the show, letting everybody get in here. And like I say, we're going to be covering the weaponizing of the truth. This is where the deception, guys, gets heavy duty. I mean heavy duty because they're they're exposing anything they haven't exposed, like things that happened on a day in September back around the turn of the century there, on that ninth month. Well, they're going to expose it all, and they're going to completely break our attachment or people's attachment to government, to corporations, to everything. They have to break it all down in order to rebuild it in the new order that they want. But they've got to destroy it first, and they can't destroy it without your help, without our help. Now, I don't know about you, but I would rather go through the things that are coming upon this world knowing the truth behind it rather than being clueless and scared to death because you're believing all the things that you're seeing. I have to believe y'all guys would rather know the truth so that you can see it along the way, and it'll help you not make mistakes. It'll help you not run to Uncle Sam saying, "Help me, Uncle Sam." Or even worse, a new organization that's going to come out in the coming months and years that's going to represent itself as the savior organization, likely with a real fancy leader. The weaponizing of the truth. Guys, I have Miss Kim here with us. You can see her over here, her little head bobbing around over there. She's helping us in the background with various things, including moderation. Y'all guys don't have to agree necessarily with the things that I'm going to talk about today, but we do ask that you be at a minimal cordial. You don't even have to be nice, but cordial. Because if we start attacking or doing any of that kind of stuff, gone you go. So, but there's nothing wrong with saying, I can't understand how that could be true. What in the world is going on? You're likely going to see and feel some of that today during today's show. Again, we are talking about the weaponizing of the truth. Now, I also have Roxy with us here today.
Hello, everyone.
She's got a voice as good as mine, don't she? Now, this is going to be a mind bender. Once you see it, it's a mind bender. Not like we haven't had enough mind benders, and knowing the mind benders that are coming, like the darkening of the sky that's coming, where Starlink and its network, it's the simplest of fabric that the rider on the white horse that has the bow, that fabric, that simplest of fabric, which is what the definition of bow is, Knowing that they're going to do that is disturbing. But imagine if you didn't know it was going to happen and it happened, and you thought it was truly something supernatural or something demonic or some aliens from some other world, which is not real. They don't exist. But the effects on the minds of people around you in this world that are not awake and are not told or just will not accept the things that are coming, the the effects on their mind will be real, and they will believe that it is real. So let's try to get to our first example here of the weaponizing of the truth. Now, I can tell you already, you're going to have some kind of a knee jerk like, what is he talking about? Watch. Let me share my screen. All right. This isn't it here, although it's certainly related. This is OpenAI, ChatGPT and all that stuff. Their new orb. Imagine that. They came out with an orb with an eye on it. I haven't really looked into this. One of y'all guys just mentioned it a while ago, and I didn't know about it, so I pulled it up. But what we are going to talk about, weaponizing of the truth. Now, you're going to read this, and you're going to say, yes, I knew they were on our side. Yes, they're working for us. The T-Man and JFK, the superheroes. They're doing something right. They're doing something good. Until you realize it's a rope a dope. Let me try
You
to.
got to be real careful with that headline. They removed it where it was recommended for healthy children and pregnant women in the normal immunization schedule. They have not removed it from the shelf, and they're not saying they're not going to give it or not going to push it if there's an illness. This is just in the normal healthy child immunization chart. They've taken it off of that.
So says they.
So says they.
So says it won't be given in any of the stickers to the children when they're getting their other stuff. So says the liar. We won't do this anymore. We've realized the error of our ways. But that's not the weaponizing exactly. It's going to take probably most of the show for me to fully explain and for you to fully understand what it is I'm trying to get across to you here today. But I ask you to stay. I ask you to listen. So I'm going to be real careful with my words, even though I'm reading their article here. It says, well, you can read it, okay? I know you can see that what it says. So they're no longer doing this, okay? And you say, well, that's awesome. That's good. We're making progress. Well, this is just one example, okay? What they're trying to do is expose everything that has been done wrong to the public through various channels depending on what the subject matter is. They're using so called truther channels, so called podcast channels that are huge, like uh, so called truth channels like Alex Jones, so called truth channels or people that claim to speak some truth and people believe that they can trust them that may speak some truth. Maybe they're just misled a little bit still. Like, what's the guy's name? The big podcaster, Fear Factor. Huh?
Tucker Carlson had Sean Ryan on the other day, and I've always worried that Sean Ryan was a plant. But if you watch any part of that thing, you see this, I don't know, just the look on their face. I don't know, something about it. Tucker, I do have to say Tucker's usually been kinda out there with his, and he stepped away from all the political stuff, but there are just too many big important names that are stepping out there telling the truth now. And I've always learned when you're looking at a magician and they're showing you the deck of cards with their right hand, it's because they're pulling the ace of spades out their back pocket with the left.
Exactly. And what it is, and you're gonna have some of you are gonna have this knee jerk. You're gonna be like, Daniel, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about, man. I've already got this figured out. I've been studying it. I knew this was gonna happen. And maybe you're gonna consider running away. If you do, and you don't at least consider the things that I'm gonna show you and tell you today, your right foot is in the trap. Your left testicle is in the trap. And it's squeezing. And you ain't gonna get out if you won't consider that you may be being fooled. It is easier to fool a man than convince him he has been fooled. Don't you know that that is a fact? It is easier to fool a man than it is to convince him he has been fooled. Think about all the things you've changed your minds on across the years. Realize that, oh man, I was fooled. They were doing this and I didn't see it. We've all been there. In this case, they're now coming out using all different assets on all types of media platforms, the internet, podcast, Joe Rogan, every level they've got, and that they're coming at us. And what they're doing is, in one place or another, they're going to expose things that you say, I knew it. But what they're doing is they're going to expose so much that it's going to destroy people's ability to believe or know anything. They won't know what to believe. They're going to, they're literally going to take a crap on the table and say, see, told you. They have to burn it down in order to rebuild it. It's the whole phoenix bird on fire, rising out of the ashes thing. That's how they roll.
It's kind of a shock and awe thing. You've heard about them going to war, and when they go in, they just completely bomb a city, bomb after bomb after bomb, and obliterate it. And the portion of that is for the shock value. The shock value makes you more susceptible to psychological operations. It traumatizes you. The thought that everything you've ever thought is a lie will traumatize you and make you more susceptible to their psychological operations.
Yep, the rope a dope. Strong delusion. Strong. What do you think the word strong means? It also says that the saints, the people that try to warn, to try to tell the truth, to try to do the right thing, that they will be worn down because it ain't easy doing this. It it literally wears on you. But we continue, and we will continue. You let me try to get on to some other examples here, okay? And as we move forward, because we got a couple of things to look at that aren't exactly directly related to the weaponizing of truth. We're going to go through just a couple, like a few little video clips and a couple of things, but then we're going to get very deeply into the weaponizing of the truth. You need to see it clearly, and I cannot see it for you. You have got to see it for yourself. So let's see. Real quick news article. CERN has turned, they're claiming that they've turned, uh, like, what was it said? Turned lead into gold is what they've said they've done. And again, that's not related. Um, I don't think we're going to watch that video right now because I really want to get to this weaponizing of the truth. Um, let's see. Is this one of the ones I wanted to watch? Let's see.
How does the silent sound spread spectrum affect human?
It's talking about the silent sound spectrum, stuff about sound. Remember, we've done podcasts on sound. How they're able to project thoughts into your head using all these tools they got floating above our heads on towers down the streets. And this is high level sorcery at the highest level, that beyond what we could have ever imagined. You're going to have to be in control of yourself. Know who you are. Know what's real. Know what's the truth. Let's see which one this one was.
It's crazy. Guys, this is crazy. Does anybody know what's happening? Do you guys know?
I know you've seen that, Roxy, because you sent it to me.
I completely forgot. I have a video on my phone.
This is crazy.
Show it to everybody later on this.
Guys, this is crazy.
But we were at the farm Thursday night, maybe. I think it was, or Friday night. Might have been Friday night. It was just real calm outside, no clouds in the sky, and over there you got a pretty good view because you don't have a whole lot of light pollution. Kept seeing this light blinking, and it literally looked like it was 3 lights stacked on each other. Amy started watching it, and we're gonna call him Willie. Willie says, "It's moving." He said, "That's not a star." I'm like, "I know," and I know we stood there for 10 minutes watching this thing. It was literally running a grid pattern. It looked as though it was random, but when I just kind of stood there and focused on it and nothing else, it was running a square in a grid. I don't know what this thing was. The previous night, we had watched the Starlink train go through, and this is the next night. It had a red light on it, a green light, and a white light. This thing was running a grid. I got it on video.
And y'all guys, those of you that have been around for quite a while, you know that I have talked extensively about the nature of that there are truly some real supernatural angelic beings that are here, that are flying around, and they are being witnessed and seen. And there is, and it's building up to a level of deception. There's going to be deception everywhere you look. I'm not kidding. It's already started. The lights are flickering around the world. People are seeing, we were seeing the orbs, and we were seeing all the drones, and it's like, who's that? Nobody would tell anything. They're creating this confusion. And now, like this is a video that came out recently. This lady is just seeing all of these kind of looks like orbs or something like that are flying around in the sky. I can't say that this is what this is. I wasn't there for sure, but this kind of stuff is going to be seen more and more, and there's going to come a point where it's going to just crescendo, and the sky is going to go black, and it's going to look like an alien invasion. They have the technology. They've been installing it. Starlink. What is Starlink? It means angel network, basically. It means angel network. It's the way that creation is created, is that the angels sit in the heavens and they sing. They create a frequency. They project a frequency. And they all sit on nodal points like music. If you understand music and how there's nodal points, and it creates this. It creates everything. But what they're going to do is they're creating their own false matrix, and they're going to turn the sky off. See, I knew Daniel's crazy, right? Daniel's crazy, right? I got some bad news for you. Daniel's not crazy. Daniel has been burdened with 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 this knowledge. You think it's easy to talk about, know that this stuff is coming because I've been shown it. It ain't easy.
Does anybody know what's happening?
Yeah, somewhat.
You guys know? Holy crap, it's like a light show. It's all over the place.
And it's going to be happening in so many places. And I'm trying to prepare y'all guys. And I ask y'all guys to share this work. People need to understand these things. They need to understand how things really work. Give you an example. Look at this video. This is the military leaders of the world meeting and shaking hands with Trump, the leader of the military for the United States, is what we have been told, right? But they're saluting him like if he is a higher rank, and they're the military leaders from all around the world. Check it out.
So, it's dangerous!
Turn that off. It might give me a copyright. There are times when they'll put things right in front of your face because they know you will not question. They're all saluting allegiance. Now let's look. Here's another example of truth and the weaponizing of the truth. And I'll explain.
Because I was going to say, that, then I was going to say, like, are they putting human body parts in the kitchen stuff, you know? I don't know about.
Can you hear that at all, Roxy?
Well, I'm going to give everybody out there a gross fact.
That I know where they're putting human body parts into the pig supply and the pork supply.
I've already watched this.
Yes, you sent to me, and we're aware of it. Go ahead. Just what? Pick your words wisely.
Okay. Down south, let's just say you had a meat suit that you might need to dispose of. There's one thing in the world that will eat everything. There will be nothing left, and it's on a hog farm. Well, if you got too many of them meat suits and know where to do with them, and you need to feed your hogs on your hog farm, you feed the hogs the meat suits. The quantity that is being tested of this sandwich meat, hot dogs, bologna, processed gel meats, 70% of what's coming across the counter is coming back with human DNA in it. Way more human DNA than would have been an accidental worker loses a finger in the plant when packaging or when it was being ground up. The only way this quantity of human DNA could be in it was if that human DNA was in it to begin with. So there's only two options here. Either they're feeding it to the critter that they make the meat from, or they just added it in as a filler. But either way, there's a whole lot of human DNA up in this sandwich meat.
And you say, I knew it. Or you say, I ain't eating pork no more. Okay, you're not eating pork no more. Well, what are you going to do when they say something about the chickens, which is basically about there? We know the chickens aren't real chickens in the stores. I ain't eating no chicken. And then Then they tell us about what they've done to the beef. I ain't eating no beef. And then they say, well, there's deer zombie disease everywhere. I ain't eating no deer. What we have for dinner?
Potatoes.
No, they did something to potatoes too. I ain't eating no potatoes. They don't want you to know. They're telling you some ugly truths right in your face. I mean, if you don't realize that McDonald's is selling you, you know what it is. If you
Empty
don't
meat
know, you
suit.
just don't know. But the thing is that they're going to burn it all down. They're going to burn it all down. And we're not going to, it's going to be difficult to know what the truth is. It's called weaponizing the truth.
Well, we have all become so dependent upon this commercial food industry which feeds us. I know we've all, oh goodness, I didn't know you had him up on there. Ooh, Matthew has caused me many sleepless nights lately. But it's not only the meat. I have come to a point of looking down these rabbit holes. I'm probably one of the pickiest eaters on earth. My whole life, I've only eaten hamburgers with just ketchup. I don't want no cheese on my burger. I'm just a very strange eater. There's
Well,
nothing I want to eat anymore. I don't want to eat canned vegetables. I don't want to eat meat from the grocery store. I don't want to, even the bread doesn't look right. Okay, everybody, today, when this podcast is over, I want you to go into your kitchen. I want you to get a loaf of light bread. I want you to take a piece of that bread. I want you to ball it in your hand as tight as you can and open your hand up and watch that bread come back. Set that piece of bread on your counter and leave it for a week. The bugs won't even come eat it. It will not mold, it will not mildew, and bugs won't even come eat it. Take a piece of food and lay it outside, and if other animals are repulsed by it, let me tell you, you know that chicken restaurant that had them commercials where it was starting to look like, a little bit on the we eating us kind of thing?
KFC.
I was trying not to say it.
Oh, well.
I worked in an office setting. I love crispy chicken from KFC. Used to. Let me say that. My boss lady had cats. So I never eat all of my lunch, so I would tear up the chicken meat and put it in the cat's bowl. Those cats walked over to the bowl one time and literally gagged at it. If a cat won't eat the chicken, I ain't eating the chicken.
I remember a while back, I threw a piece of bologna on a fire ant bed and figured they would destroy it. Well, I kind of had a thought they might not touch it, to be honest. And the bologna stayed. They literally just built their house under it, like if it was a piece of wood or something. And just the bologna didn't go nowhere. It didn't even disintegrate. I mean, and here's the problem. All these things may be all truth, right? But they're coming out on huge podcasts and they've got whistleblowers and all this. It's all the majority, not us. I can tell you that much at least. I may make mistakes. I may trip and fall down. I may misstate something. I may think something wrong. But one thing I am not, and we are not, is sold out. But there are big podcasts, big whistleblowers that are all coming out telling us things. They've been doing it for years now. They are literally weaponizing that truth against us. And it's going to get so chaotic with the people not knowing what to think because they're not going to just put it, it ain't just going to be people listening to channels like mine. They're putting it on Joe Rogan and big channels and everywhere. They're talking about it on the television morning shows and stuff. And
they literally out and outed that trial that's going on. Outed, I'm scared to even say the word, that the Minottis, we're going to leave it that way. they're talking about it on the news. Like, that's been a faux pas. We didn't talk about that. That didn't exist. Now it's like they want us to talk about it.
They want us to know and they want us to freak out, but they're going to give us, it's like going to a buffet and there's 1,000 different choices to eat. And you just like, okay, well, if you're going to eat any of it, you got to eat some of all of it. And it's impossible. And it's just like, you just can't do this. Their intention is to try to break us psychologically. They want to break us, expose us to so much chaos and trauma. Most of it psychological, some of it physical. Yes, people are going to die. Probably a lot of people. But then there's going to be those of us that haven't. We've been keeping our nose clean and staying out of a lot of the stuff that's been going on. And we're going to have to witness it all. They want us broke too. This is why I put so much effort into just telling you the dirty truth. Just the way it is. But try to give it to you in a way that you can understand, hopefully. Try to give it to you in a way that even a middle schooler could understand. I don't want...
The scare
at the end of the
tactics
day,
they've used with food have just about got us all, like Lisa said, to the point that we don't even want to eat the food. I suggest that everybody, if you want to eat meat, find a local farmer.
and go talk to him and make sure what he's doing and where he gets it from.
Right, how he feeds his animals, how he cares for his animals. Because I don't know if y'all have seen these chicken farms over in China. I mean, hog farms. They got these hogs in like 20-story buildings. They start them at the top and literally walk them down floor by floor as they get older on this concrete floor. There's such a mass. Where do you think our food is coming from, folks? We can't make it all. Part of that pork is coming from China. If you'll talk to other people in other countries about some of the food that we eat, it's not even safe to eat. If you go to Norway, they tell you don't eat salmon, that salmon is full of lice, that you should never eat a fish with red meat.
So let's keep going because we've got quite a bit to get through here. We're going to be moving into some actual slides I've got together with some notes and things like this here in just a moment. We still got a lot to talk about, so we'll probably take a 5-minute break here in a few minutes to give everybody a chance maybe to go to the restroom or whatever. But let's go ahead and check out one or two more things, and then we'll take that little break, and then we'll come back and we're gonna hit it hard still because I need to get across, and I know I haven't yet. I haven't gotten across the depth of what I'm trying to get you to see. Now, this guy, this is up in D.C., right? And he's coming out talking about. Let me play it and let's see if it's loud enough. If not, I'll just. I think it might be saying it, but basically they're talking about the Kennedy assassination, and he's saying how they're coming out and admitting now that the assassination was not what they told us. And they're admitting it, and that there were two shooters, and that Oswald was a patsy. And yeah, we've heard these things, but this was all fringe conspiracy theory before. You know, guys like me that talked about it, that got shadow banned, shut down. Now they're coming out and actually going to admit all this stuff and weaponize it, because it's not there's no individual one piece that makes up the weapon. You need all these pieces and materials to come together to make the weapon, you see. So you got to see the big picture. Let's see, just see.
Everybody, Tim Burchett returning from a
Jim Richard
oversight committee. We were
returning from an oversight committee
talking about the John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy's assassination.
Talking about the assassination.
Just some incredible testimony from the attending physician.
Talking about incredible testimony from the attending physician. They're just uncovering it. It wouldn't surprise me any day or time that they come up and they tell us what happened at 9/11, and they virtually admit the truth. Virtually. Then you've got things like this. Here is, let me open this guy's channel. Here's prime example of a controlled asset. Now, I would imagine most of the people listening here know that Alex Jones is a controlled asset. If you don't, well, I don't know what to say to you if you don't by now. I really don't. But this guy here, Mickey Willis, right? He comes out, he makes this documentary called Follow the Silence. And it's a movie about people being silenced when it comes to have to do with the, the sticker that they taught everybody into taking in their arm, and there's all these side effects and all these people dying. Well, now here it is. It's sitting on YouTube, come out a few days ago, and it's got 65,000 views on it. This was premiered at a huge theater that had 2,500 people in it. In the theater in like LA. And let me see here. Yeah, if you go down here on his channel,
and see all excited about.
They'll talk about who all was there. Alex Jones was there. All these other big podcasters, and they're all, yeah, they poisoned us, and they all talking about it out in the open now. They want the people to see it now. They want the people to burn it down. They want you to burn DC to the ground. They want to get, they're giving you this problem, the truth, and then they want you to react, and then they're going to come along with a solution. Problem, reaction, solution. They're using the same basic system that they've used to destroy, build up and destroy cultures, societies, empires. They've done it over and over and over. And if something works over and over and over and over, you just keep doing it and improving upon it. And that's what they're doing. But this whole documentary, if you watch it, you'll say, wow, that was done really well. They told the truth. And it's allowed even on YouTube. This is amazing. This is good news. Not completely. It's bated breath. It's baited truth. It's weaponized. I hope I can get across to you. I've got some slides here that I'm going to try to read to try to explain a little bit more in detail. Okay. So I already understand these things, but I wanted to see because ChatGPT has been just doing the same thing. ChatGPT will tell you mostly pretty much the truth about anything that you can really give it a good question. It'll tell you. It'll tell you what they're doing. It'll tell you what they're going to do. So I said, well, let's ask it this question. So I said, so if the old system was corrupt, but you wanted people to reject that system and accept a new system that actually is veiled in a worse, larger, and more powerful order, would you still need to expose the old system to create a problem, then wait for the reaction of the masses to beg for a better system, maybe even demand it? How would you do this, and what would the timeline or psychological moves look like? And here's what their AI that they built said. Yes, you're describing the classic problem reaction solution model, often called the Hegelian dialect. In covert psychological and political manipulation, if someone wanted to replace a corrupt system with an even more controlling one, but most people want it, the most effective strategy is to expose the flaws in the old system in a way that directs the masses towards a pre-designed solution. I mean, how many times have we seen this? On a smaller scale, but now they're getting ready to do it on a worldwide scale. Each country, each culture will have their own customized tear down and rebuild. But the ultimate goal, it's not a better place. It's not a better system. And there's not a lot we can do about it other than to educate ourselves so that we don't have to suffer as much when we go through this. And so this is my intent. My what I'm doing is educating you as best I can with the God-given ability that I have to speak publicly, speak the truth, and not worry about fear. Because I want to do what I think is right. And so that's what I do. So here we go. And we're going to take a break here in a moment and then go through the rest of this because we've got it. Oops. How did we get way down here? We're not supposed to be that far down. Okay. Psychological effect: delusionment, mass fear, anger, betrayal, loss of identity, and trust in authority and systems. People become vulnerable, seeking clarity and safety. Timeline: this phase can take months to years depending on the scale of deception and the patience of the architects, and they're very patient. Sudden shocks like that September event and planned, kind of demonics can accelerate it dramatically. And where are we at right now? We're in warp speed mode. That ain't just a simple thing. Even like Mr. T said, it's a big idea. Reaction: public outcry and chaos. Let people stew in confusion and emotional distress, encourage protest movements, division, and civil unrest. Promote truthers and alternate voices, even fund or infiltrate them to steer public frustration. There's a big part right there is they're using these people out there that are willing to sell out just a little bit. You see, Miss Kim here and Roxy and Shannon, they've heard me say it plenty of times. We will not sell out to nothing. Yeah, I might show something as a promotional piece, well, I'll give you an example. Like our T-shirts that we've got in our shop, because they have truth written all over them. I may show some of that kind of stuff, and I may sell it, and I may make a couple of dollars. I may show you like Blue Eddie, because we have links down below, and if you go buy a Blue Eddie or Jackery, you can have a device that will make your life a little easier when they decide to turn the lights out, because that's one of the things that are coming. I may show those things like that, but so far as to sell out, to change what I'm going to say, it's not happening. It's not happening. And they know that. I get offers in my emails a lot, wanting me to sell this or promote this, and it's all garbage. It's something I would never push to my brother. So it says psychological effect: helplessness, rage, longing for order and answers. People begin begging for solutions. Masses say, burn it all down. We need something new. Okay? says this can be short, weeks to months. Once a major crisis hits, psychological exhaustion sets in quickly during chaos. You may remember the stories in the Bible about cities being conquered in old Israel, wherever that was. And it talks about how they would circle the city on their horsebacks for 7 days. They never threw one rock. They never shot one arrow. They never did anything but circle the city, making sure that the people of the city would see them consistently as they continued to circle the city. See, the war is won or lost in the minds of the people. That's where war is won or lost. That's where empires rise or fall. It's in the minds of the people.
And they spent millions and billions of dollars to exploit your fight or flight system. MK Ultra, I saw somebody mention it a while ago. That's millions upon millions of dollars spent to figure out how to explore your fight or flight. Also, where adrenochrome comes from, just saying.
Yep. And when they can get you into the point of fatigue from doing fight or flight, whether it's physically or psychologically, if they can get you to fatigue, most people will just give up and they'll just accept something that was planned to be offered to them from the very beginning, from the onset of everything. We're going to go much more deeper into this when we come back here in about 5. I got 2 more slides to read here, and then we're going to take a break. Solution: introduce the new world, the new order. Offer a clean, fair, transparent system, technocratic, digital, efficient, and inclusive. How many of those words have we heard? Emphasize security, convenience, unity, and stability. How many times have we heard those words? Leverage new technologies, digital IDs, programmable money, AI governance, and social credit. You see, your future judges that you'll go to, blah, 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 because of this or that, they'll literally be an AI judge. You get an attorney, it'll be an AI attorney. And if you want a real one, you're going to pay way more. You can't afford it. You claim its grassroots are based on the collective will. You asked for it. You wanted Mr. T to be president. You'll get what you asked for. Most people didn't know what they were asking for and still don't know what they asked for or wanted, even those that voted or didn't vote. Psychological effect would be, because they get offered this new deal, of course, hey, we won. Relief, gratitude, finally, someone fixed this. People don't realize they're stepping into a more refined, totalizing system of control. Now, when we come back, we're going to go more in depth, okay, with the concept. And try to iron it out some. So, because I'm sure this won't be the only show that we'll do on talk about this. We may come back tomorrow and talk about it some more because we have another show tomorrow. But I just feel like I still don't have it across the way that I want. So we're gonna try some more here in a minute. Couple more things because once I transition to the next few slides over here, I don't want to come back to this part again. So it says tools of influence. It's talking about language engineering. Use terms like Great Reset or the new normal or collective safety. Mass trauma. Break psychological defenses through repeated crises, wearing you down. False dialects. Give people the illusion of choice between 2 pre-designed outcomes. Kind of like when they said, okay, it's time to vote for president. Do you want this one or this one? Neither one you've never met, never will see them, or never will shake their hand. And if you do happen to go to a rally and see him on stage, it's all part of the same control system that's been in place. I know there's still people out there that are hanging on to that last thread that Trump is somehow different, and he's somehow so powerful and so good that he can hold off the whole rest of the world. I'm going to go ahead and skip on down here, although we are going to take a break. So it's just talking about this method has been used historically. The fall of monarchies, the rise of communism, the fall of democracies, the rise of fascism. Today it's more subtle and it's global. It's not about breaking down one country now. It's about any of the ones you don't already have there. Maybe like China is pretty close to being what they want. Any of the ones you don't have there, you've got to burn those countries down, burn those people's belief systems down, so that they'll grab on to any straw they can get in the river and say, oh, thank goodness I found a straw. Key takeaway in this inverted strategy, truth is weaponized to dismantle one control grid and replace it with a more advanced one under the guise of liberation. All right, when we come back, we've got quite a bit still to go through. So don't go nowhere. We're going to take about 5 or 6 minutes. I'm going to play the Beyond the Veil interlude that I play sometimes for y'all guys at the beginning. So it's about 5 minutes, 48 seconds. And you can take this as you go to the little boy's room, get some water, whatever you need to do. See you in about 5 minutes and 48 seconds.
It's a twister! It's a twister!
I imagine right now you're feeling a bit like Dorothy, landing in Oz in a realm that just does not feel quite like home. I can see it in your eyes. You have the look of a man who does not accept what he sees, because he suspects everything his eyes present to him is a lie. Ironically, this is very close to the truth. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know, you cannot explain, but you can feel it. You have felt it your entire life, that something is wrong with this world, that has been presented to you with the full expectation that you accept it and never question it. You don't know completely what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. It is this feeling that brought you here to me, to now, to a choice. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you want to know what it is? It is the supernatural image and word of God. It is all around us right now, even in your very room where you are sitting at this moment. You can see it when you peer into the mirror at your own reflection, or when you take a photo of a friend. You can feel it when the sun shines, or when a wave in the sea crashes upon you. You can taste it when you bite into an apple, and see it when you tear open a fruit. You can feel it when you caress a woman, or when a woman caresses you. And you can see it upon the woman's body, the breasts, the buttocks, and eyes alike. It is there when you speak, or when you take a breath. You can hear it when the great owl screeches, or see it written upon his face. You can see it coming when a whirlwind is nearly upon you, and hear it when the thunder rolls. And you can feel it when the wind blows. It is the world that exists beyond the veil. It must be perceived with the mind before the eye can see it. A world that no one ever informed you of, yet you know it's there. If you speak of it, others will say you're crazy, for you must believe what they believe. Like everyone else, you were born and introduced and convinced of a false reality, a false world, a prison world designed so that you would not see, hear, smell, taste, or touch the supernatural reality of the true world. They built a prison for your mind and a hell for your soul. And they pray to their gods that you will never wake up. Unfortunately, no one can be shown what the supernatural world is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there's no turning back. You hit the back button, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you believed before this moment. Or you continue watching and you cross beyond the veil. And I will show you what is behind the wizard's curtain. Remember, all I am offering you is the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. It is now time to choose. Go back now, or continue beyond the veil. Okay, guys, we are back on the Supernatural Show. I and Roxy and Miss Kim are still here, and we're going to continue. I'm going to give you an example now of a scenario, and it's labeled as it's a scenario that has a lot of truth built into it, but it's not an exact scenario, of course. The global reset of 2030. Now, why that date? It has to do directly with the UN's Agenda 2030 and the fact that they want to have this pretty much done by 2030, and then have the rise of the New World Order or One World Order at that time. So I'm going to read you an example here of how some of the elements of how it would play out. By 2028, are you there, Roxy?
I'm here.
Okay. By 2028, economic inequality, climate disasters, and political polarization are at an all-time high. Trust in institutions is dead. Institutions, whether it be government or corporations. I mean, how many of the corporations have you lost trust in out there already? And why? Because the truth has been told about them. Some of us knew it already before, and some of it people are finding out now. But
I have an interesting fact on our elite pedophile ring.
You're gonna have to watch that word live on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I forget right over there.
Well, go ahead. Just be careful with the word.
That person that's on trial, they call him Puffy.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to go question who Diddy's daddy is. Did you ever see the movie with Denzel Washington in it where he was a gangster called Frank?
Was he a gangster cop?
No, he was a drug dealer.
Okay.
It was his name was Frank in the movie. I just had it a moment ago in my mind and my mind went blank. But anyway, Frank, who was actually from South Carolina and goes up north and becomes this big time racketeer and corruption mafia kind of thing. His right hand man was Melvin Combs, one of the most notoriously violent gangsters, who is actually part of a particular group of that group that starts with an I and ends with Minotti. They have a whole section. There you go.
So
Um,
there's another piece, the of exposure of something that's hard to swallow, right?
yep.
It's like right in your face as to who these people are. And yeah, they're fall guys. And yeah, some of them, maybe they really go to jail or something. But
Sterling said it. Frank Lucas. Thank you. My brain went blank.
I suspect that they don't go to jail. And a lot of times when they say they died, they don't die. But yeah, it's the weaponization of the truth is going to come from all angles. Every time you hear a new piece of truth, you have to consider what we've talked about here today. You have to consider where it's coming from. You have to consider why do they now want me to know this, and also look around at all the other things that are going on and what is the pace of it, because I suspect the pace of this whistleblower disclosure, everything that's going on right now the pace of it is going to increase. Back when I started doing what I do now, but I did it in a different style back then, I never showed my face, but 15 years ago, I remember the pace, looking at the pace of false flags. Okay. When things would go on and I could see that this was a setup. The pace was like once every 6 months back then. And then it went, after a year or two, the pace was once a month. And then it went to once a week. And then it's like every few days. And it's like, and now it's went kind of more from less of that to now this weaponization of exposing all of that, saying, yep, they were right. The conspiracy theorists were right. And all this stuff, of course, they ain't going to say it exactly like that, but they're going to show us that, yep, all this stuff was real. But they'll never tell you why they're willing to tell you now. Because they want you to lose your ability to know what to believe. Just like the chicken commercial that Roxy was talking about. The KFC chicken commercial, when they're all dancing to this music and they're going to meet this chicken that they're going to worship. And it says during the process of the video, there's this one scene where the chicken walks in and looks in this room, and there's a woman at the bar, and she's like a robot, and she bangs her head into the TV, and there's this commercial playing on the TV, and the lady on the TV was an AI person talking about that the governor of AI something other is fighting off accusations that he is an AI, and 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 she said something like I'm trying to think of the right way to put it, but basically she says that what can we believe? And then they go on to show you this big chicken and says believe in chicken. What they're doing is they're showing us that they're going to completely destroy the average person's ability to know what's real or not. Not just with politics, not just with media. We're talking about the heavens. We're talking about everything. Everything. All right, so let's read this. So, by 2028, economic inequality, climate disasters, and political polarization are at all-time high. Trust in institutions is dead. A well-funded, now this is a scenario, okay? Well-funded group known as the People's Dawn began exposing elite P. Diddy rings, financial corruption, media manipulation, and rigged elections worldwide. Now, you know that's going to come out sooner or later, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, the election was rigged. I
That
mean,
just sounds like everything that happened last week.
yeah, basically, right? So, phase one, create the problem. A series of global leaks, kind of like WikiLeaks, a series of global leaks, like they're calling it the Pandora Papers 2.0, stuns the public. Names are named, videos surface. We all seen that. Remember who they said was Hillary's laptop with all the videos on it, and then the laptop of Biden's son who was having sex with hookers and snorting crack and smoking crack on the videos and literally just showing all this stuff. That makes you wonder if that was even real at all or was just something to blow your mind. So then it says, still part of phase one, markets crash as confidence in legacy banks erode. An AI driven cyber attack knocks out power grids and financial systems across continents for 10 days. Panic ensues. People begin hoarding food, fighting in the streets, and calling for military tribunals. Phase 2 reaction. Outrage boils. Mass protests erupt globally. Populist leaders from both left and right are assassinated or discredited. Populist leaders from both left and right are assassinated or discredited.
They're already discrediting all leaders from around the world, one way or another.
Think about how discredited Biden is or was. I mean, they literally showed us to be him an absolute buffoon, right? Now, this other assassinated part, I think that one's going to be assigned to somebody else. However, as Trump once released on his, I believe it was on his old Twitter account, he released a video showing him standing behind a presidential uh, podium thing, and there was a date clock on the front of the thing, and it showed him being the king or the president or the leader in some way or style symbolically for like the next 50, 100 years. What that's coming to is he's saying, not just me, but someone in my bloodline will be in power, maybe like his son, and then maybe his daughter, and then maybe even Barron would be in that position. Barron's the one that actually worries me the most. 7 foot tall.
I actually did some looking into this weekend. I've always been curious as to why some of the books were left out of the Bible, and I've been back to some of that stuff. One of the books that's left out of the Bible, I'll have to go back and pull it up, is actually very descriptive of what the Antichrist would be, much more so than the actual Bible. One of the descriptions in there talks about him coming with his dragon and his army of spaceships.
His army and, well,
Of
I've,
his army of spaceships. Further
I
research is
I have
required,
thought,
just something we need to touch on later.
yeah, boy, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to get down in.
I'm
I
in
have
rabbit
thought that
now.
they may use some kind of DNA manipulated, uh, part human, part machine, like a Borg kind of thing, where like from Star Trek. I mean, it is Operation Warp Speed, straight out of Star Trek. So why not have a character kind of like half man or half human, kind of looks half human, and then he's got all this technology built into him, and he gets off the spaceship to negotiate with the president or the world leaders at the UN to try to come up with a ceasefire, you might say, because of all the chaos that's been going on from the fake alien invasion. That has went through my mind a lot of times, and including all the visions I had of walking out that door on the side of a building with there's just absolute insanity going on in the sky above me. So Baron worries me, but there's something that just, unless something changes with him, something's not complete there yet, I don't think. So we'll see. So still as part of the reaction, it says we must rebuild everything becomes the rallying cry. And of course they'll be using social media, podcasters, so-called truthers that will be pushing this kind of narrative. And it says then there'll be a group, and it gives an example named the People's Dawn, that offers a roadmap, the framework for global harmony, because everything is in chaos at that point. And then a solution is offered. A decentralized looking global digital currency or governance, system is proposed. Digital identity, like the what is it, the one ID, or what's it called that they're pushing right now?
That federal ID.
Yeah, you can get it like the DMV now, and they're saying you gotta have it by like soon.
Oh yeah, you can't get on an airplane now without it. I don't have
Right.
it.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
And the whole
Anyways,
difference, and the crazy thing is, the difference in the ID I have versus the one they wanted was because I didn't have a copy of my utility bill that day. Like, really. You had to have some kind of proof. Just besides the fact that you've got my face, you've had it since I was 15 years old. And you know who I am. Now you want a copy of my birth certificate and a utility bill to put a star on my ID? Come on.
yeah. But part of their solution is going to be saying, well, we've got to identify everybody. We got to know, because we can't let happen what happened last time happen again, even though they're the ones that did and set up what happened. But we can't let that happen again. It's kind of like what happened in September back in, that '01 year. Can't let that happen again. So what did they do? They got all the Patriot law and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
Laws and regulations are always put into place for some other benefit. Think
mhm.
back to when they put in the laws and regulations that children couldn't work, and what was it, Child Labor Act or whatever? Go back and look. When the Child Labor Act goes into effect, that's when all these public school systems, you had required attendance parameters. Because I can tell you right now, I don't know of a single blooming thing that I learned after the 8th grade that I've used as an adult. I'm in accounting. I mean, I do this and I do accounting, nothing after the 8th grade. But that Child Labor Act was to keep the children in that school for 4 more years of indoctrination.
Yeah. Now, of course, when that stage of it comes along, the people are going to beg for it. They'll take the ID, they'll take this, they'll take that. The average person out there, will. Me, you, maybe not. But the average person out there, they're going to do it. The masses are going to do it because they can't handle the stress, because they have no clue what the truth is. No clue. Um, and when you don't go along with it, there's going to be penalties. You can't travel. You can't do this. You can't do that. You know. And it says the key psychological tactic for the whole setup that's going on is weaponized truth. And from what I can see right now, looking all the way back to 9/11, looking where we're at now and going forward, is basically what they've done. But now we're at the warp speed level. All right.
Well, it's come out that even the Vegas thing is a lie.
The Vegas pow pow.
Yeah, the Vegas pow pow, because they're showing body cam footage from people who on the body cam have already told you that he was taken down, he's down, and there's still shots ringing out in the background. And one of them tells you that it's from a machine pow pow
Mm-hmm.
because it has a very distinct sound and rhythm the way it goes off. And you're telling me that more than 20 minutes ago, Mr. Pow Pow Man was already taken out by somebody on SWAT, but in 3 different body cam footages, 20 minutes after dude was taken down, you can still hear machine gun fire. And they're standing in the room where he was supposed to be, and there are no broken windows. They said the only way that the amount of rounds could have been fired with the weaponry that he would have had to have reloaded every single one of them 4 times. It's humanly impossible, but yet there's 3 helicopters flying around up there which shouldn't have been in the airspace, and that machine pow pow sounds like it's coming from above.
Right. Yeah. But it's all part of. There's a reason, and we have to be aware of it, as to why all these truths or deeper truths about these events. Why are they now coming out? Why is it being allowed now? And it's not because one man, one human being, is now in a different position than he was 4 years ago. It is a plan.
They're loosening the noose on truth so you'll trust. So then when you stick your neck in the hole, then they can cinch it back up.
Yeah, they want you. They want to break. They don't want you to trust anything, basically. But at the same time, the way what you're saying is true, because what you're doing by falling for it and not realizing that there's still a noose hanging there that's going to be even tighter, is you're literally just walking right into the honey trap. And that's basically what this is. It's a psychological honey trap. They're like, ooh, I knew it. You see people so much now on like TikTok and other places. It's like they hear this information that comes out about this thing going on or that went on 5 years ago, and they're like excited about it because they were right. And this ain't gonna go. It's not good. It's not good. All right, I got one more scenario here for y'all guys.
How many of our viewers out there have watched Handmaid's Tale? And if you haven't, I would suggest you watch it and you think about the narrative if that happened, because it is not impossible, folks.
The what now?
Handmaid's Tale. It's on Hulu. It's on 3rd or 4th season. I'm currently sitting here just itching for the final episode to come out tomorrow night. This is a show where a zealot religious group, in the world, everything's kind of going along, but birth numbers have started to severely decline. They claim they don't know. There's this religious group that basically takes over America and enslaves women. If you're one of the elite, you can have a wife, but if she's not fertile, you get what's called a handmaid, which is a fertile woman who has probably been stripped of her children and her husband, and she's made to be your surrogate slave. There is actually a ritual once a month that the elite's wife has to watch go down, how this baby is born. I mean, it's a whole weird thing. But like, if you're not of birthing age and you're not fertile, you're either turned into a Martha, which is like a cook, a nanny. The ones who are beyond that get sent to factories, or you get sent to what they call the colonies, especially in the Carolinas, which is basically slave camp. wherever you're most useful is where you end up. But if it's a decent show, but if you watch it along the symbology of what one religion could do if they had enough military power, and that's part of what this was. This religious group had infiltrated the military and ended up taking over the country.
So, okay, that sounds it. How does that tie into what we're talking about?
It all started out with propaganda. They actually engineered the infertility,
Like they've done now. Mm-hmm.
like they've done now through the sticky things and through food.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they start this whole civilization of, oh, we have the answer. We can help women to have babies again. We need to grow our own food. We need to live in this gated community. Watch it, it'll blow your mind. But don't take it from a TV show perspective. Take it from a religious cult perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about the controlling of the mind, the psychological war, which is what we're going to look at right now, as to what the psychological war has looked like since, well, since this date that's on this slide right here that you're looking at, okay? It's the psychological war and then the conversion of taking these events that happen in this first number of slides here and then weaponizing it later on in the weaponizing of the truth telling about what happened previously. So let's take a look at that. Phase one, the problem, events, timeline, chronological sequence from that September month onward with commentary on psychological and social impact. So we all know that back in 2001 that happened. It was coordinated attacks on U.S. soil. And the purpose or the effect was shock and awe, trauma-based conditioning, ushering in mass surveillance, endless war, and erosion of civil liberties. The psychological impact instilled fear and submission to authority, and the lie, which was the terrorism, which is still a lie. I knew on 9/11 that day that there was no way what I was seeing was legitimate, but that's a whole nother story. So then, step two, the Patriot Act and the war on terror from around 2001 to present, they had it already packaged up and ready to go and then introduced it, legislative and military response to that event. The purpose and the effect, massive surveillance, normalization of spying, erosion on privacy, targeting of dissenters, and the psychological impact. Again, we're just looking at the overall series of events since that event forward, how they've been playing and building it up, and then they turn all those around on us, and then they're going to use them against us again to get us to jump out of this hot pot into the other hot pot. Shift from free citizens to monitored subjects. Of course, we know that all about the NSA and all this stuff that's come about, and they even told us. Who was it? WikiLeaks. You know, the whistleblower stuff. I don't really believe there are any true, real big whistleblowers out there. Maybe somebody can show me one and I might believe it, but I can't think of one. So then we had in 2008, which I became a victim of this one, financial crisis and bailouts of 2008. Trigger, Wall Street collapse due to toxic derivatives, which caused the mortgage market to go upside down, which was a really bad day for me. Purpose and effect revealed elite corruption, market rigging, and government complicity. Psychological impact destroyed faith in capitalism and fairness of economic systems. I know I personally have completely lost faith in these things, not just because of this event, but much more, of course.
I have a question. We were
Hmm.
just talking about that mortgage meltdown.
Yeah.
Um, you know what Ted Turner owns more of than anything else?
Do I know what?
Ted Turner.
Yeah.
He's one of the largest landowners out there. He's not after
Yeah.
the land, he's after the water. The next thing they're fixing to do is cut us off from water.
Well, they're going to tell us
Can't farm.
the water's been poisoned, and they've already started that. They're telling us that the fluoride is now okay. Yeah, the fluoride's bad. Really?
Well, when there was a movie that come out, it was called Too Big to Fail. It had Christian Bale in it. He was the guy that predicted the mortgage meltdown long before it happened. The very final scene of that movie, it talks about the actual guy who Christian Bale played. He said he no longer had anything to do with the mortgage industry. He was taking every dime of money he made off of that and was investing it in water futures. I didn't understand what water futures were until I heard a thing this morning. All this land that's being bought up, look at it. They're fixing to landlock your water. There won't be any natural water resources.
Well, they've been after it for quite a while, and yeah, you're probably right. There's something down that line that's a lot of truth to it, I'm sure. And of course, we all know around 2010 we had the WikiLeaks and Snowden stuff. The whistleblowers started coming out, exposing government war crimes and NSA surveillance. So they've been slowly building up over time, showing you how corrupt the current system is. Now they moved into a warp speed where they got and they said, okay, the media is fake news, fake news. The media is fake news. Everything's you're a crooked reporter. They're yeah, they're crooked. Yeah, it's fake. And yeah, they're pointing it straight out to you. And you think your first thought is this is amazing. They're finally saying it. But what you don't realize is there's a psychological war going on and they're breaking you down because there's some further steps in these events that are coming that are going to make you desperate and want to accept whatever it is, the solution that they're going to come to you with. But this process has been a process for decades. It says purpose or effect, confirmation of global scale deception and intrusion. We've all known this. Anybody alive on the planet knows that things ain't right, you know. So what they did, it says, seeded the mass distrust of intelligence agencies and state secrets. And here goes the one I was just mentioning. As a matter of fact, rise of populist and fake news era. Right around when Mr. T was running office the first time, he started part of this thing, the psychological warfare, the weaponizing of the truth, is exposing the truth. I know this is going to take a while for some of y'all guys to actually get. Okay, I'm just asking you to think about it. It'll click in. All these things can take a while to get your mind around. So it says, let's just keep going. Then we all know about this one that happened, the outbreak, and all the response, global fear campaign, massive medical overreach, normalization of lockdown mandates and health passports and all this stuff. So they're going to put us through all this trauma, and then they're going to offer us something that's going to look, on the surface, it's going to look like a glazed donut. Like one from, what's the name of that place we like, or that you like donuts at? Krispy Kreme. Yeah, one of those Krispy Kreme donuts that looks so good, but you just know it ain't good for you. That's what we got. That we're going to see them offer us. They're going to offer us things that we've heard rumor of, and in the back of our minds, we think, man, that sounds pretty good. I mean, I'm going to get a paycheck every month, and I don't even have to work for it. But what do I have to do to keep it? Well, nothing. Right up front in the beginning, you don't have to do nothing. Well, then we'll worry about what you have to do later. We'll give you the money now It's coming. Then, of course, all the George Floyd and worldwide unrest, all this is part of a system. It's all laid out and planned. It's all scripted. Then we started seeing, of course, around 21 to 23, the supply chain breakdowns where the eggs went to $10 a dozen. The milks, you couldn't even get milk in the grocery store. You couldn't get toilet paper. You couldn't. There was the meats weren't even on the shelves, and all these things instilling fear into you, making you worried, concerned, adding to all the previous concerns. It's just with the pace ever increasing. Now we've got the AI boom. Everybody's wondering are we gonna be able to even have a job, let alone start your own business and do something. And then we get to around today's timeline where we end up with some type of climate emergency rhetoric intensifies. We'll see the evidence of this. Wildfires in places that you don't never ever see wildfires. Like we had some a few months ago here in South Carolina. I mean, you know how green it is down here? You can have fires, but they don't run through the forest like they do in the Northwest, in the West, because we don't have periods of no rain for months. We have periods of no rain for days, but not months. But we're going to start seeing the wildfires more, the floods, the hurricanes getting bigger, the supercell storms getting bigger, all building up this narrative and them tying it, saying, well, we need a system to control this and make sure we don't use too much carbon or put too much carbon into the atmosphere. It's just this nonstop drum beating that we're now in warp speed.
And $21 trillion underground society to live in if they didn't have plans for something to happen.
Yeah, and there's going to come a point to where they're probably going to, you might say, let us fend for ourselves for a while. And that's when they'll be chilling out in one of those places like that. And they're saying likely, and this fits right in the narrative, with big bank failures, regional bank collapses, and then the rise of the digital currency, which of course we've already all seen. And then cyber attacks and blackouts. This is something that we've talked about in previous shows as well, that they've got coming. That's literally why, like a solar generator, is one of the things that I'm willing to promote. Yeah, I know who made it. Yeah, I know what country it comes from, these things like this, but they are tools that we will wish we had in the coming months and for sure within just a few years. And I don't think it's going to be that long. We're halfway through 2025 and they've got to have this done by 2030. Not a lot of time left. We all know that we're expecting the blackouts and the cyber attacks, but we need to be aware that they're manufactured. You need to prepare. You need to have a way to try to get through it. Just think about worst case. Just think about how would they have survived through it 100 years ago when the systems weren't in place like they are now. Back in the 1920s, what would they do? How would they get water? How would they get something to eat? How would they cook something? How would they? Because you can get used to dealing with a bad situation. It's one thing about the human mind and human body. Given enough time, you can adapt to anything. Anything, you can adapt to it, and it'll become a lot more comfortable. But you have to do some preparations. some preparations.
You need a plan. You have to have some kind of plan in place.
Yeah, and I'm
Even if you
trying.
don't do anything except look in your area and figure out where there's a place you can get away from people, even if it's in the woods. If something like this goes down, the last thing you want to be is in a city or a crowded populace of people.
The cities are going to be the worst. And I know there's some of you listening right now that are in the cities, but the cities, especially the bigger ones, if you're talking over 100,000 people in a city, you're starting to get up into that area. But we've got cities with millions. I can't imagine going through what's coming in LA or New York City or Chicago or Memphis or any of these big cities, Atlanta. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm 17 miles out of town, and the town that I'm 17 miles out of has got way less than 100,000 people. And then there's another little town in the other way that's got about 15,000. So we're in the country, and we like it that way. So we've talked about, done the shows talking about the UFO disclosure and the manufactured threats and all that that's going to come with that, and the delusion of them turning out the sky that I've talked to you guys about. If you haven't seen this stuff, go back on the channel, look at the previous titles on previous weeks and months. You'll see we've covered all this kind of stuff because this is all coming, and it's the psychological warfare in order to get the entire world to submit. And they already know when they told everybody to go home and stay home that 97% did it. When they said line up and get these and then go home and stay 6 foot apart, they told all that, and they literally stood on stage and said, "We're in a live exercise here." That was with Mr. T on stage, and it was the secretary, something other. He said, "We're in the middle of a live exercise here." Literally told people that that's what that was. Because they wanted to see how the people would truly react. And what did they do?
I'm
Well,
sitting here looking at some of the comments, and everybody's discussing the whole barter thing and things you should collect when you go barter. When you go buy groceries this week, buy 2 extra cans of something. Buy a couple of extra bags or boxes of salt. If you have to, I mean, salt is a good way to cure meat, but you also need a skill. If you don't have a skill, and that's one thing that's lacking, I think, in this world is blue collar skills or the ability to do things of that nature, you need to find one while the internet still works. Get on YouTube, learn. If it ain't nothing but sewing clothes, I mean, if you can take old bed sheets and make clothes in a situation like that, that could come in handy.
and absolutely, Anthony, I believe that we should stay close to our Creator, to our Father in heaven. We should talk to Him. We should spend time with Him. We should do our best to understand these kinds of things. Because I know throughout my entire life, uh, it has it has grown and grown and grown to be a bigger and bigger and big and huge major part of my life. Not just in understanding all these things that are going on around the world, but also understanding that there is a Father in heaven. All right, let's see. I think I got just a few more slides here. Of course, it's predicting coordinated global protests and leaderless movements, just chaos going on in every direction is what we're basically looking for, or what they're looking to do. And what I'm trying to do, and I don't think I've done as good of a job as I could today, but I'm trying to make sure you realize that the truth itself has been weaponized. They're now, the reason why they're coming out with all these truths and admitting all these things is not because, I hate to say it, it's not because things are getting better. It's not because Mr. T is fixing it, because he's that bad of a dude. It's not. You can disagree, and I understand why you would. But I know I'm right. And here's the bad part. I don't have nothing to gain from being right.